สวัสดีค่ะ Good morning and you're watching Morning Thailand อวรรณสอนเครือหงส์
and I'm พลดามุกสิริ
Now of course Kunbo there's a lot that took place yesterday. I mean if you don't know it already, yesterday was actually the date where the numbers has been drawn for all the political parties who decided to join this particular general elections taking place on February 2nd. But yesterday a lot happened because obviously the election commissioners, due to the fact that they have seen that the situation is not that great anymore, so they ended up making an announcement that a lot of people were actually quite shocked because obviously they pretty much asking the government to do something about the date and perhaps postponed it.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about that a little bit later on because obviously we're going to have to update you on the crime that took place right here in the country. The first thing is back in the southern part of Thailand, down south is Trang province, and this is a house of the Democrat Party member who, well, we have to call him a former party members because obviously he resigned from the Democrat Party already, Kun Sathit Wong Nong Tey. Now he is actually, when he was in the position, he was an MP representing Trang province. So they say that last night at about, or a night before, so technically yesterday at about 1:30 a.m., there has been a report that his house in Trang province, where his wife, along with his children as well as his mother was actually there. So altogether there were three people in the house. His wife, his son, as well as his mother, who's aged 77 years old, was actually inside the house at the time. And they say that all of them in the house were actually woke up to quite a frightening sound because they say that for 1 to 2 minutes there has been pretty much loud noises of what they believe to be, even at the time, the live rounds of machine guns. And they ended up found out later on that it was the fact M16 rifles that has been shower all these bullets to the side of the house. Luckily, there's nobody got injured in this particular incident. However, according to Kun Sathit Wong Nong Tey, who of course has the brother in the area and informed him of this particular incident, he said that the bullet actually was only about 2 meters away from where his mother was actually sleeping. So that's the closest range that they found, and that could have pretty much instantly killed his mother. So he said that all of the family members believe that this is probably try to instigate violence and is probably political related incident.
Yeah, I think that there were also reports coming out to say that, during all the time that the family was involved with politics, they didn't cross anyone's lines before. They didn't step on anyone's foot. So nothing like this happened before. So this is definitely very shocking for them. And like you said, maybe it's, just to scare them maybe.
Pretty much. But that's what they believe.
It was really close. So still, it was a very, very serious kind of
and that's
case
just
there.
It just show you that the political situation here in Thailand is intensifies, and oftentimes we have seen that the demonstrators actually took to the house of the prime minister, which technically that's her private, residence. So technically you gotta separate it, and this is one more for the opposition side. People just don't know how to separate things anymore, and there's a work, there's a personal lives and such. Okay.
Well, anyways, stepping aside from that, we'll definitely come back to talk more about politics as well. But for some local news updates, I believe yesterday you reported already about this case of gaur carcasses, right?
Yeah, Kun Phai report about it, and Kun Tulip reported about it before. There's more.
So basically there were, at first 14, 15, 16?
There was 12 and then up to 16 and now?
17.
Oh.
It's the 17th carcass of this gaur that was found still in the Kui Buri National Park in Prachuap Khiri Khan province. And there are speculations that basically came out to say that it's possible that maybe they were all poisoned.
Okay.
But it's not confirmed yet.
Okay.
But still that would be one of the possible causes of death. And the latest of the finding of this 17th carcass of this gaur was found in a pond in the Kui Buri National Park. And they also mentioned that the park officials were patrolling the area when they found the carcass, and there was also a team of the veterinarians that decided to go along with them, as you can see, in order to try to extract some of the DNA from the carcasses to find the real cause of the death. And they mentioned that it's going to take approximately 2 weeks in time until they are going to be able to get the final results to confirm whether they really were poisoned or not. And of course, the officials, the park officials, as well as the owner of the national park, came out to say that they definitely have to find the culprits that are involved and bring them to justice, because this is the 17th gaur carcass already that has been found. This has also sparked another issue for the transfer of the national park chief.
Right.
And the chief of the Kui Buri National Park and the head of a nearby forest plantation project, they were actually transferred yesterday to pave the way for an investigation into the deaths of the previous 16 of the gaurs that were found, but this is the 17th already. So still, this is going on. But I believe that some of the villagers or the locals, they're trying to call for this transfer not to happen. So maybe they still, have faith and believe, that
because some people think that
wrong.
It might have been. Well, they did kind of mention that if it's some kind of poison, it should not just target the gaurs. It should have been, all of the animals in the area might have been, taken from this. But I think what most of people fear is that it might be a disease that's spread around. But I think we probably going to have to look more into this. But it was just weird that it's only the gaurs that actually keep dropping. All right. So after that, moving on to another, not so good news. Obviously, New Year is approaching, and we're gonna say goodbye to this year. But one thing to not look forward to, I guess, is the hike in the price of all the electricity. This is very unfortunate, but according to the Electricity Generation Authority of Thailand, they have said that this particular hike has already been pretty much subsidized, because technically, normally we will have to pay about a little bit over 6 baht for each of the sector of the electricity that we use. However, they say that for January all the way to April of next year, at this point they already concluded, the EGAT, saying that the price will have to increase for another 5 stang for each of the measures that they use for all the electricity bills and such. And they say that at this point it will be at about a little less than 4 baht. So it's about 3.8 baht altogether. However, they say that technically if they're gonna really increase to make sure that it meet the starting expenses, or to cover all the expenses that they need, it will be about 6 baht 99 stang, or technically about 7 baht. So this is already subsidized. And they say that at this point, they probably will use a little bit of a money to help the money that they will get from not having to receive all the electricity, because technically we do receive electricity from Myanmar as well in the Yetakun field, which is actually generated electricity and sell it to us. If we don't know that already, well, I did not know that we have to buy electricity from other countries as well, but apparently we do, and from the Yetakun field. And they say that due to the fact that Yetakun is going under renovation, so they're not going to be able to give us or at least release or provide us with all the electricity that we requested, so they will have to pay the fee. Now those fine, will have to be used in terms of subsidizing for all the people here in Thailand. And they say that at this point, the consumption has already been increased, see quite a bit of an increase for about 2.2%. And they say that they have to make sure that they are ready for the stop of the electricity provided from the Yetagun as well. So we probably will have to resort to, coal energy, and that's, I think, a lot of countries stopped doing that already, but I guess we still have it alongside the clean energy that we have here in Thailand. And they say that due to the fact that the currency rate is actually decreased, the Thai baht is less strong compared to any other time. I believe that yesterday was the 8th consecutive days already, or the 9th consecutive days that the currency of baht currency has actually been lowered constantly ever since there's quite a bit of a commotion in the country, which is understandable, obviously. So at this point, they say that next year, brace yourself for it, there will be an increase, but it's going to be about 60 stang, 59 stang per unit. So I'm not quite sure, how much you use per month in terms of a unit of the electricity, but it will be about 59 stang increase.
Well, just as long as the adjustment isn't, too different.
Exactly.
From
That's
before,
what they're trying to say,
okay.
Because they say that if they actually trying to cover the expenses that they have to use to generate electricity here in Thailand, they probably will have to hike it up to almost 7 baht per unit.
So they're
this is about
it.
This is still less than 4 baht per unit. So we already got subsidized already. So maybe it's time to use less electricity.
It's always better to
go
green, right? Well, anyways, moving on now to more updates since the New Year holidays is just around the corner. And of course, I think every single year we have reported about passengers being stranded, especially at train stations or bus terminals in particular. So this time, hopefully, we're not going to see deja vu again, at least by the SRT or the State Railway of Thailand, how they have come out to mention that they are pretty sure that the measures that they have in place would be enough in order to secure and also make sure that no passengers will be stranded at any of the bus terminals or the train stations, even coming out to mention by the SRT governor himself, Prapat Chongsanguan, saying that there have been lots of bogies that have been added, lots of trains and also passenger carriages, so to enable the capacity of at least another 120 to 130,000 people daily. So that's a huge amount. And the SRT has estimated that there could be people, around 900,000 people traveling or going back to their hometowns. And that's why they are quite confident at the moment that the measures that they have in place would probably be able to prevent the stranding of the passengers at the different areas. Now, apart from that, to give more assistance to the passengers and also for them to feel more secure for their security and protection, there will be a hotline of the 1584 hotline, which will be available in case any of the passengers need any help, they need a call for any routes or etc., or even complaints. So the 1584 hotline will be up definitely for passengers to be able to call 24 hours, while the campaigns have also been going on, and some particular campaigns, of course, yearly that we see, the no drunk driving campaigns, and it's also seen, of course, to prevent the road accidents during the New Year's, trying to just lessen the number down year by year, if possible, especially during the 7 dangerous days, that period. Meanwhile, there's also the public transportation drivers themselves that will be strictly monitored and screened. We're talking about bus drivers, train drivers, taxis, vans, all types of drivers that will be strictly monitored this time of year, especially too, just to prevent the drunk driving. And some of them actually have to take, some particular drugs. Sometimes they come out to say that it's because they have to, drive in long hours, extremely long hours.
That still doesn't give you any, right?
That's true.
Actually.
But despite the fact that they say that their shifts are so long, and it's the time of the year where they are able to make a lot of income. But still, like you said, it's not an excuse, and that's why if they are found, drunk driving or on their mobile phones, that's also very dangerous as well. They could be facing a fine of up to 3 months in prison, or a fine of 2,000 to 3,000 baht, or both. And that also goes for, other drivers during the New Year holiday as well. And as usual, of course, lots of the highways will be setting up, the different kinds of checkpoints to help people in case they get tired. I think we've saw some campaigns before that, there's even massaging kind of services
because if you drive a long hours,
right.
That's the thing. Thailand is small enough for you to drive to different, provinces and such, but some provinces are very long drives, so
more than 4 or 5
people still
hours.
need that. And plus, I heard that the army bases actually open their bases for people to have a rest as a rest area as well. So at this time of year, if you're going to the provinces and you decided to drive, be sure that you are actually healthy enough and ready for this long trip. All right, with that, we're going to take a short break, but when we come back, there's a lot that happened yesterday, including the digital TV auctions for the HD channels as well as SD, and of course, the demonstrations that pretty much paralyzed the city yesterday and caused one death already, at least, is the policeman that got shot. So stay tuned.